Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we are going to make one of my favorite desserts, tiramisu. Now, there's easy ways and harder ways we can make tiramisu, but if you know me, we're going to make it all from scratch today. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to make an amazing dessert that you pay lots of money for when you go out to eat, and now you can make it at home whenever you want. So the first step is we're going to make the cookies, i.e. little mini cakes, for the tiramisu. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack 5 eggs and I'm going to separate them. So I'm first going to start by putting the yolks in here and the whites in here. And they do make fancy separators you can use. You could just use your fingers, whatever. But the key is you want to get all of the whites in the white and just the yolk in there. Okay, we're going to do that again. Show you. So it doesn't have to be like has to crack in half exactly or anything. But you do want to try and get that little part in there and not in here. 2 down, we're working our way through. And if you ever broke the yolk while you were doing that, if it got in the whites, that's a problem. But if it's in here, it's okay. Because your egg whites, won't. So see that one cracked all the way, so we're just gonna do it this way. See how easy that was, guys? Okay, so we've got all of our yolks in here. To this, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of white flour. And then we're gonna beat this until it's pale yellow. So you can see right now how it's really like a orangey yellow color. We're gonna beat it until it's pale. And while I'm beating these, I'm going to go get my oven preheating to 350 degrees. All right, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. See how that's changed color from the orangey yellow to a really pale yellow. We're going to now take this and put this in the bowl. And we're now going to whip the egg whites. And first I have to clean the bowl, so I'll see you back here in just a second. Give me a minute to do that for you guys. And so the bowl is clean now, and so is our beater. So now we're gonna beat the egg whites. So you're just gonna dump those in there. Put it on the mixer. And if you don't have a stand mixer, just use a hand mixer. It's the same thing. Just requires you actually holding it. Maybe that means I'm lazy. So you're gonna beat this on high. We whipped the egg yolks for about 5 minutes. And now we're gonna do that for the egg whites. So I'm gonna turn this on high. And then when it's getting close to being done, we're gonna add the sugar. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Then we're gonna put it back on the mixer and add the sugar. So you can see how it's forming stiff peaks. See that? Okay, so we're gonna add our sugar. and I had a half a cup of sugar here. Now, you could use a sugar substitute like stevia if you would like to instead. There we go. Okay, now, the key with making great batter is we want to keep this light and fluffy as possible. So to this, we're going to add our egg yolks, a cup of flour, and just a little bit of vanilla. So first, we're going to fold in by hand the egg yolks. And by hand, I didn't mean with your literal hand. You're going to use a spatula. And you're just going to combine it. So that looks pretty good. Now we're going to add a little bit of flour, not all of it at once. And just fold that in gently as possible. You're lifting and rotating. Okay, let's add a little more. So I'm adding probably a little less than 1/4 cup each time I do this. Just be gentle, like you're dealing with something very fragile, and then it'll come out perfect. Okay, last one. And we're going to add in just that little bit of vanilla. And that's about a teaspoon. That's just going to give it a little flavor. Again, experiment. You know, you can make all different flavors in your tiramisu. So obviously changing the flavor of the cookie will change it as well. So we've got our dough ready for our little mini cakes we're going to make. We're going to use a pastry bag. Now, if you didn't have a pastry bag, because you're putting this in the dessert, you could literally put it on some parchment paper, make a shape, and cook it like that. We're going to pipe it. And so I just have a star tip that I put on the end. You can use whatever shape you want. You just want something that's rather big. If it's too small, there might be a little lump of flour in our batter and it'll get stuck. Okay, so I have just a couple of sheet pans. And again, you can use parchment paper, but I have spill pat mats, so I just use those because they're reusable. And we're going to grab our pastry bag and literally put some dough in it. If you've never used a pastry bag before, don't let it intimidate you. I'm going to show you what you do. So we've got a little in there. You're going to take it and make a triangle. So you're going to push this down and we're making a triangle. One side over, the other side over, and then roll it up. Okay? And then you're simply going to hold it in one hand and with your other hand guide the tip. And let me move this over a little. We are just going to make little logs, okay? So there's our first log. I'm going to do this whole sheet. You're going to leave a little space between them. Again, these don't have to be perfect. They're going inside of the dessert. You're simply just doing this so that they have space between them. They're going to cook super fast. They will puff up a little bit in cooking, so just note that. That's why we're leaving a little bit of space. And you can see how easy this is and how quick. So my bottom hand's just guiding it, my top hand is squeezing. And after it gets empty a little bit, we're gonna just fold it up closer. Voila, one sheet down. Let's go get the other one. All right, so our bag's empty. We're gonna go ahead and take the rest of the dough, put it in and pipe some more. Very good. All right, so we're gonna get these 2 sheets in the oven. You're gonna check them in 10 minutes. It won't take long at all for these to cook. And you want them just a really light golden brown color. All right, so here they are. Now, I was talking, so mine are a little darker than they should be. This is kind of perfect right here. They're not burnt, so it's okay, but you'd rather they be lighter than this darker, okay? So I'm gonna take all the cookies off of the sheets and put them in a bowl, because we don't need them right now, and we're gonna make the fillings. So there's 2 parts to the filling, and we're gonna do the first part, which is heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. You're going to want to use a pint of heavy whipping cream. This is not a calorie-free dessert. Sorry if I'm breaking your bubble there. Okay, we're going to put this in the machine and let this whip. Okay, so I'm going to show you that the heavy cream has whipped. It's not really stiff peaks, but it is definitely whipped, okay? Now we're going to add in the mascarpone cheese, and this is 1 package. Mascarpone is a really light cheese. If you wanted to substitute a different cheese, you could. Just make sure it's a really light cheese. We're gonna beat this for just a minute, and then we're gonna add in the powdered sugar. You can add as much powdered sugar as you want to your taste. I try to make mine not quite as sweet, so I have 1.5 cups of powdered sugar here. And just so you know, while this is going, I have a cup of boiling water here. I'm adding to that 3/4 cup of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're gonna add to this 1/2 cup of coffee, hot brewed coffee, really strong, like espresso strong coffee. Okay, so I just added 1/2 cup of really strong coffee to the boiling water and the sugar. And you want that sugar to be dissolved, so give it a quick stir. Now, this is if you're going to add rum, whether it be real rum or rum flavor, that's when you're going to add that as well. Me personally, I don't like that in mine. Okay, so our cheese is combined here with our whipping cream. We're going to add the powdered sugar to that. And while it's whipping. So it doesn't have to be super fast speed or anything. We're just combining it. And you don't want to beat it too long because your cheese will get grainy and you don't want that. So voila. All right, so now we have all of our ingredients to make our tiramisu. I'm gonna get our beautiful dish we're gonna line it into and show you how to put it all together. All right, so here's our other pan out of the oven. And these are the exact color that you want. You see how they're like a really light, light brown. And they're wonderful little cookies. I took this one off so I get to eat it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is get everything ready to assemble and put it together. All right, so we're ready to go. I decided on a round bowl. You can do a 9x13 long rectangle. You can do individual servings of this if you had cute little ramekins you wanted to make them all in. Completely your choice. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is put a layer of cookies on the bottom. And you can see what I'm gonna do. You're simply going to try to cover the whole bottom. And there's no rhyme or reason like it has to be a specific way or anything. Okay. That makes it easier for me to grab. Okay, so you can see we've got a pretty good layer here on the bottom. Now I'm going to take our mixture and spoon it over each cookie. We're going to want to get them all wet, but you don't want them completely saturated. So I think you can see about how much I'm putting on them. Now the ones that I cooked a little too much, those will absolutely be able to absorb a little bit more. We got that guy. I think we're good. Okay, so we got our first layer of those on. Now, this is just like making anything. It's one layer of one layer of the next. So we're just gonna take a couple of scoops of this and you're gonna spread it nice and thin. You just want it to just cover. You're not making a thick layer. Okay, and do smooth it out all the way to the edges because that'll prevent the filling from one layer not getting into the next. Okay, so that's done. So our next layer of cookies. And what I do sometimes is I'll try to make sure if one layer is going one way, the other one's going the other way. But it doesn't really matter. And you can see they're all different shapes. It wasn't a contest to make them all perfect. That's not the point of cooking. The point of cooking is to make yourself something healthy and enjoyable. And that's pretty good. Got a nice layer going there. So next we add again our liquid. I highly recommend spooning it yourself rather than trying to dump it, because it will have too much in one space and not enough in the next. And you can see that they kind of absorb. You can see that they've absorbed the liquid, especially the ones that I didn't burn. Okay. Just a little bit more there. All right, perfect. Next layer we go. And whenever you run out of cookies or filling, that's when I always just say, okay, we're done. Obviously, if the bowl, if there's no more room in the bowl, then that's obviously another good run. All right. Now, and this is going to be our last layer. Because we only have enough of this for one more, so. And it looks like it's come pretty close. We just have a few extra cookies, not a lot. And we're going to use all of our liquid. Now again, you know, you make it how you want. If you like more filling, then just make more of that. If you like yours moister, make a little bit more of that. Okay, sifter and cocoa powder are in my hands. And you can eliminate this if you don't want it, but I think it just makes it look beautiful. All right, there we are. We're going to cover this with some saran wrap and put it in the fridge. Ready to go. We'll check it out once it's had a time to sit and get all those nice flavors to marry together. All right, so our tiramisu has been sitting in the fridge for quite a few hours now. And so we're gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like. So I'm just gonna take a big hunk out. scoop it out into our bowl. And you can see if you've done it right, it's all pretty much been absorbed, the liquid in there that we put in there. But let's see how it tastes, most importantly, right? That is amazing. You have to wait. I need another bite. Thank you for joining me for What's Cooking with Rochelle. Bye for now.